Hello, and welcome to another update video about Solana. So Solana has shown a little bit of upside today, or is showing a little bit of upside today. We want to take a look at the microstructure in a minute. Looking at the overall pattern here on the 4-hour time frame, you can see this is still an overall sideways range. We want to talk about the 4-hour time frame before we zoom into the absolute micro structures. We have obviously still this sideways range. So as I mentioned before, everything that happens here could be considered noise in this sideways range. It's between 190 and 119 USD. So I still give my best though to give you a proper probabilities, even though they are not very clear obviously within the range. So I try to give you the best wave counts, my best interpretation within that price range, even though we're dealing with back-to-back price action. So in case you don't know, when we're dealing with these corrective structures, the microstructures within those, they tend to change a lot. That's why from an Elliott wave point of view, what we like to see are clear impulses. So we want to see 5 waves. You could imagine like the 5-wave pattern is something like a lighthouse. It's a landmark on the chart. It gives us something to work with. And we have seen yesterday such a 5-wave move, even though on a smaller time frame and even though just within the range. So I'm going to zoom in a minute and talk about that because it gave us a nice setup. And that setup sort of worked out, which is always good to see. Just be aware that this is still an overall price range, and I still, from this point of view, from this viewpoint here, I still consider all of this noise in here. And just because we've seen a 5-wave move up that allowed us to track higher prices in the short term, and forecast higher prices in the short term, as long as we're in the range anyway, it doesn't make the chart overall more stable. So it still means that if we break below $119, we could easily extend this wave 4 into a larger WXY structure. That's possible. That's still possible. Or even into a larger flat correction in an ABC structure. See, all of these would be basically the same scenario of a wave 4, just different variations of a wave 4. A wave 4 is a corrective pattern that happens after a third wave, and the third waves are typically the strongest waves in a cycle. The fourth wave is often a sideways consolidation, which is what we see right now. But they can also be, even though it's technically called a sideways consolidation in a flat correction, they can still go down a little bit lower. So for example, we have a 3-wave correction. Okay, if it's not a triangle, which I'm tracking, triangle pattern, A, B, C, D, E, it could evolve into a WXY correction, and each of these waves has their own rules and guidelines, and it might just form a marginally lower low. So we have to be very much on our toes here. There's a lot of babysitting required when it comes to this chart. But for now, as long as we're holding above $119, I'm tracking this Elliott wave triangle. Okay, and I wouldn't be surprised if it invalidates, but it wouldn't change the overall assumption on this chart, which is still that one more high and this bull run could happen in a 5th wave. But what the analysis tells us, it might not be until we get further sideways action done over the next few weeks or so, or even a larger 4th wave. We just have to be ready for it. Yeah. And this would be further confirmed with a break below $119. So of course anything is possible. And especially in a 4th wave, probabilities are fairly balanced. But it's all about understanding the key levels. Yeah, they are really gold, the golden knowledge, you could say. Because if you know that below $119, the triangle can be taken out, well, it takes one scenario out, it provides clarity. And then we already have a backup plan. We have that larger wave 4 with support between $107 and 87, with $94 in between as key support. So that's just sort of the 4-hour time frame. Now let's zoom into the 1-hour time frame. Yesterday we had an interesting setup. I did post that early yesterday already on Discord. I can't remember if I mentioned that support zone in the video actually, but if we take a look at our crypto service on Discord, for gold members, I provided yesterday this support zone here. So we saw that first initial 5-wave rally and then a 3-wave pullback was forecasted into the support region. And the idea was micro support for this potential B-wave pullback is defined between $125.81 and $135. And from here, a C-wave to the upside was indicated on the chart. Now with B-wave pullbacks, you never really know because they are somewhat unpredictable to a degree, but they still in most cases would respect this Fibonacci support zone. So if you're interested in updates like these, you can see already today I updated a lot. So all of these updates are written short-term updates with latest updates on levels and everything. You can follow the link in the description. It takes you to the website, and here you can, if you choose the gold membership, you can get these signals. But take a look at it, read through it if you're interested. Let's go back to the chart. The link is in the description for that, but it gives you live access to these Tradingview charts. So you see live when I make any changes. I think that's actually the greatest value, you know, the biggest benefit of those memberships for silver and gold members, but also obviously the short-term updates and additional content about psychology and everything. But this is really, you can see the support zone hasn't changed. So this was an active setup, even though obviously a very unstable one, given that we are in a triangle. However, the first rally was a 5-wave move up here. So we can look at higher generally, and we've seen a positive reaction to that support zone. Now, if this is now really following through, we will see. I think only in the rarest of cases you normally really see a substantial rally like that in a corrective pattern. But the bottom line is we had a nice reaction to support. Anybody who placed an order here, even if just for a short-term swing trade, day trade, whatever, you can just manage risk now. However, in the ideal Elliott wave world, we would now see the development of 5 waves in wave 1 of C. So the idea was that in this triangle, a larger C wave completed here on the 5th of July. We saw 5-wave move up, a 3-wave pullback. Now, because we have an initial 5-wave move up, the next 5-wave move ideally should follow, okay? Explaining all that will now go too far. Again, we've got a lot of tutorials for that on Discord, but after a 5-wave move up into one direction, as per Elliott wave guidelines, the other 5 waves should follow. And this is what we've sketched out here. Now, it's not a must, okay? It's all about probabilities, but this is why I'd like to see this now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's not perfectly sketched out maybe, but this upside target zone has been on the chart now also for a few days. It's between $161 and $174. That would be ideal. Condition is now obviously that the last low is holding, like the overnight low, which was formed here at $128. And I can tell you that in this C wave, which is a 5-wave move, ideally also wave 1 is a 5-wave move. So one wave seems to be missing at least. So I'd like to see one more high at least in wave 1. Then when I have a top in place, I will offer the next support region in wave 2. Again, that would be offered on Discord, or if you have live chart access as well, you would see that. But you would get notified on Discord as a gold member. But I can't give you another support zone now because we haven't got 5 waves in wave 1. Only if I see the next 5-wave move, it makes sense to add the next support zone, because it could be that this is just A, B, and we test the support zone again in a larger B wave. That's why I often say the levels are more important than the wave count itself. It is very much possible that this is stretching into a larger ABC structure. Very much possible. As long as the levels are holding, however, the overall thesis to the upside is valid. Now I could place here, for example, an alternative B wave, right? Even though the idea is that we've really bottomed there in this B wave overnight, I cannot rule out a larger B wave as long as we haven't got the next 5 waves up and then see that the wave 2 support forms a higher low. So again, that's why I need the 5 waves. Gives me the next level of confirmation that we've actually bottomed in yellow wave B. So again, I give the next support area out once I see a top after 5 waves have formed. I think the chances are quite high that we see another high here. So it's definitely interesting. Definitely interesting start to the week. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.